Your host, Mac Attram. And today I have an absolute pleasure to be in conversation with Scott Bywater, all the way from Australia. And so it's great that we're able to speak at such over long distances over the internet. Hey, Scott, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, Mac, great to be here today. Live from Australia, talking to London.
There you go. There you go. Listen, Scott, I want to kick off straight away and say, hey, tell us about what you do now. What are your key things that you do as a business? And now I want to go into in a moment about your background and what got you started.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, great question. So what I basically do is direct response copywriting is my focus.
Yeah.
With a particular area of specialization in the email marketing. I do things around that, but I find one of the things I've found over the years is that email marketing is generally where the low-hanging fruit is in any business. Yet it's a little bit of the ugly duckling, right? So everyone's like focused on Facebook and Google and YouTube and all of these sort of things, which are important. I'm not an email marketing, what's the word for it? Like, I'm not a purist in terms of it's just email marketing. But what's behind everything, what you'll find with most campaigns is that what makes everything work better is email. So if you're running Facebook ads, you get someone to opt in, and then it's your email follow-up series, which is going to determine the success of your business. If you're in e-commerce, as an example, and you get a sale, I talk to so many business owners and they're profitable making one sale. I talked to someone today. I'm like, that's like a sin. They got 3,000 people on their database and they've never tried to sell them anything else. And so that's why I'm very much into looking at playing games I can win that are easy to win. And that's why I really specialize in this email marketing sort of side of things.
Well, you're the wizard when it comes to email marketing, so fantastic. Let me say this. Tell us something about your background. How long have you been an entrepreneur and how did you get started? What happened?
Yeah, no, great question. So really, I got started at about the age of 24. So I was always involved.
That was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2 years ago, exactly. I just had my 26th birthday.
There you go. I'm only joshing with you, yeah. How long ago was that then?
It was over 2 decades ago. So
right,
yeah. Just times it, 10x it. So I really, so that was when I was 24. I was involved in like sales and marketing since the age of 17. And at the age of 24, I decided to start up a hairdressing salon. I went to a Brad Sugar's seminar who runs action coaching, and he's like, start up a business, build it up and sell it. So being quite green at the time, I thought, oh, it sounds good. So we got a hairdressing, it was more of a shell than a business, but we got it for free. And then we actually did some good things in terms of I learned about marketing and applied some of the things I learned, but very inexperienced. So long story short, 6 months later, got out of that, lost wasn't a lot of money, but it seemed like a lot of money at the time. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to go out in marketing. So I ran a classified ad and became a marketing consultant. And what was interesting, so it was basically $20 on credit. I had zero money at the time. I ran a classified ad and I get one client, I get another client. And then I met my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and she was like, she saw this ad from Reader's Digest in the newspaper. She's like, you got to go for this ad. So anyway, I went for the ad, and the HR manager wasn't keen on me because my track record in being in a consistent job at that stage wasn't great.
Right.
And but the copywriting manager loved me, so I didn't get the job, but I got the confidence. And what I did from that moment on is I positioned myself as a copywriter. From that moment when I positioned myself, Mac, as a copywriter, my income jumped 10 times literally overnight. So admittedly from a low base, do you know what I mean? It wasn't like I went from earning 5 grand to earning 50 grand a week or anything like that, but it jumped up quite considerably overnight. And I'm like, that was the first thing I realized. It's like, timing the market, being in the sweet spot, having the right niche, all that can make a massive difference. And it never looked back. So that's when I sort of started on that copywriting journey.
Awesome. And what's been one of the biggest lessons that you've learned as an entrepreneur thus far?
Yes, it's a good question. So I think the big lesson I've really learned is to spin a lot of plates. And what I mean by that is it's something I learned from a friend of mine, Nick Thackeray, who's an amazing marketer. And he has a term called optionality, which I think he might have learned that from Taleb, who wrote The Black Swan and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, you've got to, you don't know which, you've got lots of lottery tickets out there. So you might be running Facebook ads. You might be, involved in like doing a lot of networking, all of that sort of thing. You've got emails going out daily. You don't know you don't know which one of those lottery tickets is going to be a winner. But the more plates you're spinning, the more you're putting out there, the more likely you are to get a winner. Like if you buy a lottery ticket, if you buy one, you've got very low odds of winning. But if you buy 100,000, the odds go up exponentially, right? So that's where the power of it. I mean, Paul Hewitt-Gleason wrote a book years ago called New Sell, and he talked about it being check moves. And he's like, well, you can't actually, like, his whole thing was you can't close a sale. All you can do is make check moves, and then the customer's going to decide, right? So this being on this podcast is a check move. Do you know what I mean? So people are going to hear it, and some people might respond to the message. The odds are maybe nobody will respond to the message, but you've got to spin a lot of plates, and that way you keep the funnel constantly building and growing.
Makes sense. Thanks for that. So for those who don't know what you mean by email marketing, right? Because even nowadays as a coach, we get clients who, when I say, so which CRM system are you using? What autoresponder are you using? What's that? So I said, how do you communicate with your customers? Do you use email? Yeah, we send email. Do you send it individually? How often do you communicate with your email list? What list? It's on Outlook. Okay, so now we've got a problem, right? So tell us about email marketing at its fundamental, so people who are not doing this the right way can think, oh, that might be a smarter way to do it. While I sleep, these things are being auto-responded. People are taking action step by step, and they coming down my funnel. Do it in your expertise way, because you're the expert on that one.
Yeah, and a lot of people think, oh, you need a big list, you need a massive list, and all that sort of thing to make email marketing work, right? And the truth is that you don't. So recently, I've got a colleague, and he sends a lot of joint venture lists, and he sent a list where they're 10,000 in size and received 0 sales. He sent an email out to one guy. He had 33 people on his list, and he sent the email out. 8 people registered for the webinar. 4 showed up. 3 people bought a $3,000 product. So he made 9 grand out of 33 people, right? So it's very so there's I had the same thing happen to me. I did a launch years ago, and we made 42 sales at $1,000 out of the list was about 7,000 people at the time. I thought, that's not bad. Then I dissected it, right? And I looked at, it was probably 180, 200 subscribers at the time. And it was 90% of the sales came from the 200.
Oh, wow.
And only a very small percentage came from the 6,800. So we get wrapped into this, it's the size of the list and all that. It's not the size, it's the quality. So any business can benefit from email marketing. So let's say you're I don't know, like I'm doing some through a coach at the moment, and he's got heaps of accountants who are his clients, and they've only got lists of maybe 150, 200 clients. But if you send an offer to them via email, like for you to call all 200 of those people, very, very difficult, right? Virtually impossible. It's going to take you all day if you spend 20 minutes on the phone with all of them. But you can spend, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, get an email ready, put it out to that group of people and be getting responses, clients, or even if you're not getting clients, building a relationship. Building a relationship. So that's really the key with email. And it comes back to what Joe Girard, greatest car salesperson in the world, guy called Joe Girard, right? He wrote a book called How to Sell Anything to Anybody. And the big thing I took away from that book, and it was really, it was a core message, at least for me, was if you bought a car from Joe Girard, you are getting a letter from him or a card or something every month for the rest of your life, basically. You know, I mean, I imagine, I don't know if he's passed away or left the business now, so it would have stopped at some time, but it was going out. So and that made him, because he never got forgotten. Like if you think of a client you had 10 years ago and you've never kept in touch with them, if you call them today, you're a stranger, right? But if you'd been keeping in touch with them ongoing, and then you have a phone call, they're like, hey, Mac, how are you? How good to talk to you. Or they're talking to someone else and they're like, I've got this, I can't, build my wealth. It's like, oh, go and talk to Mac, because he sends me stuff and it's always really interesting and he knows his stuff about wealth. Do you know what I mean? So it's all of these things, which is the power of email marketing.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. So for those people who are sitting there thinking, okay, so it's not the size of the list. People say email marketing is dead. Is it really dead? Is it still working? Are the open rates still good? What's happening with email marketing now compared to, a lot of the gurus, gurus every single week, Instagram this, Facebook this, YouTube this, Twitter, and I say, look, go where your ideal clients are, right? And I love what you're saying about, if they're on your email list, then it's a low-hanging fruit. And if you can get them responding, it's a great thing. So what is the situation with email marketing compared to other forms of marketing now?
Yeah, so people have this thing that is dead, right? And the reason they think it's dead is because they send an email to their email list, and if you don't structure that email in the right way, like you're asking a question or that sort of thing, you probably won't get any likes and comments. So if you send it out and you don't get a response, you naturally think, oh, my email list is dead, it doesn't work, all of that sort of thing. Whereas if you post something on Facebook, people, you can like, for starters, so you might get a dozen likes or 15 likes and you feel really good, you get the dopamine hit, it feels great.
Right.
And you might get some comments, because if you comment, it gets publicly seen, and there can be conversations and all that sort of thing. So it's a very different medium, but you feel good. But that dopamine hit, that good feeling doesn't fill your bank account, right? So not to say that social you shouldn't be doing, you should be doing that as well, but it doesn't fill your bank account, just the likes and comments. I went to the shops the other day and I said, I got 53 likes and 14 comments on my last post. Can I buy a hamburger? And they wouldn't give it to me. Whereas email, so they like litmus.com has found that email gets a 36x ROI for every dollar spent. So it's very, very powerful. And what I have always found, and I've done email launches, like I think the biggest one, which was just last year, we did over $1 million generated from an email launch, within the space of a week. I've done the same with another business, which was selling that was a higher end product. I did another business that was a product for around $100. We did $500,000 within a week. So I've done a number of six-figure launches purely from email. So they're really big numbers, but you might be like, hey, I've only got a list of 150 people and I'm an accountant, or I'm a consultant, or I'm a coach, or that sort of thing. And what you probably want to do is you want to book your calendar, right? So we're running a strategy at the moment where what accountants can do is they can send an email out to their list, and then at the end of that, they ask them to request a report that they've created. So you send an email out, it's valuable, it's content-based, it's informative. So it's what I call the third way, where it's most people fall into this trap of, they either go, the love letters approach, where they just, send like amazing content, but no offers, right? Thinking that they send enough love, it's going to come back to them. Other people go the opposite way, and they're just like hard pitch. It's like scorched earth. Yeah. So they might make sales today, but they literally burn their list. And then it's worth nothing. And I've seen companies do that. So what this is a third way, if you can imagine a Venn diagram, it's that it's in the middle of those two. So what you're doing is we're sending it out with quality content. At the end of it, we're saying, hey, if you'd like a report on this topic, download it here. And then when they download the report, ask for the phone number, the email address, all of that sort of thing. And then after the report, you can obviously have an offer and say, hey, book in a call with me, et cetera, and have follow-up sequences. But because they're their clients, right? If you're an accountant and you've got 150 clients, you know them all quite well. If someone downloads a report on, let's say on something about saving tax, and you're not offering that service, right? You call them up, they're your client, and you go, hey, Mac, I saw you downloaded that report. What did you think of it?
Right.
Oh, yeah, it was great. Thanks. Yeah. And then that stems the conversation. Oh, are you interested in saving tax? Oh, great. Let's book in a time for next week and let's have a chat about that. So you can flag those people to then move in and cross-sell to your audience. So that's where email marketing can be used, even if it's just your list of clients. Like I imagine a lot of people listening to this, they've been in business for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever. Maybe they don't have an email list. So step one is gather all of the names, or get a VA or a PA or something to gather all of those names and put it into something like, whether it's a MailChimp or an Active Campaign or a Kartra or an Infusionsoft or whatever CRM you find that suits you.
Yeah.
Put them in there. And then once you've got them in there, all you've got to do is write the email and hit send. And and then you're off and you're starting on this. And the most important thing you can do, I know what I did when I knew nothing, right? And in the early days, and I did a Matt Fury course, and it's how I built my business. And he's like, you got to write an email a day. And so that's what I did. I wrote an email a day. And for like, it was probably like 10 years, every weekday. I had the weekends off, but every weekday, first thing I did, went in, wrote an email, and I literally built my business and my reputation just off doing that consistently. So that's where, it works. It really works.
Fantastic. It is great what you're saying. Great content. Thank you for that. Why do most business emails suck and people don't open those emails?
I think the big reason is because people don't do the research. Yeah. So people aren't doing the research to understand their target market. So if I start just randomly talking about something which your audience doesn't care about, like I start talking about how to buy a Harley Davidson or whatever, your audience is going to tune out, right? So it's a bit of a random example, but this is the sort of thing people do. They talk about stuff that people don't care about, or they just don't often the reason people don't send emails is because of that reason exactly, right? So they're like, I don't know what to talk about, and so they just don't send anything. So how do you overcome that? How do you overcome that issue? Well, you've got to get clear on what are your customers' fears, what are their pains, what are their desires, what are their beliefs, what are their objections, all of that sort of thing. When you know that, when you've got the top 5 pains listed, all of a sudden you know that the top pain of let's say a business owner, if you're a coach, is they can't get enough leads. And so what's 10 topics you can write underneath that, and so on. Now, the beautiful thing about this now is that with AI, you can brainstorm all this pretty quickly. Like if you go, I don't know what my customers' fears are, I don't know what my pains are, you can go to ChatGPT, you can go to Jasper, and you can literally ask that, and it will brainstorm a whole heap of things. You can say, give me 20 fears people have about hiring a coach. Hiring a finance coach, and it'll spit out those 20 fears. And then you go, well, that it doesn't mean it's right, because it's AI. But then you can go, that resonates, that doesn't resonate, that resonates, and it'll punch it out in literally 15 seconds. What would normally take you probably 20 or 30 minutes to think up. So you can really speed through that process. And then once you've got it, once you're like, these are the 5 pains, you can create, then you go, okay, give me 10 topic ideas around the pain of not having enough leads that a coach could send out to their email list. And it'll literally in 10 or 15 seconds, it'll go, and all of a sudden you've got all of these, all of these ideas, and then you can punch it into the AI. And I spent about 20 hours developing this formula, right, where you can actually punch it into the AI, and you can get the AI to literally write those emails for you in minutes, but not just write them for you targeted to your customers, their pains, their objections, their desires. So you're actually entering the conversation going on in their mind.
In their head. Right. Fantastic. So that's a great. So while we're on the subject of AI, chat GPT, how's that system now, AI, changed copywriting and email marketing? What's the big change now that you've seen? Because you've been in this for 2 decades now.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's a very good thing for the average business owner, the whole AI thing. So like, I love email, right? And I actually find emails very easy to write. Like I can, if I'm writing them for myself, it's different if it's for a client, because I've got to get in and understand their business, all that sort of thing. But I can knock out an email in like 15 minutes easy. Do you know what I mean? And have it out. But a lot of people are like, oh, it takes me hours to write an email. Yeah, if they even sit down to, but they put it off because they don't know what to write about. Yeah, so AI overcomes all of those problems. So now it's easy to get the ideas because the AI can help you. It's like a brainstorming buddy, which gives you the ideas of what to write about. And then it makes it really easy to write about. Now, people might go, oh, but I don't want to be a robot. Yeah, I don't want to just sound like an AI robot. Well, there's a saying I heard someone say recently, it's much easier to edit than it is to write something from scratch.
Right.
So you're going out there and you're using the AI to create all the structure, and then you can go in there and add parts of yourself into it and tweak it and all of that sort of thing. But you'll find that you can get your emails written like literally within minutes. Like I can write a short email with like 2 prompts with AI. Yeah.
Right.
And the formula, once the formula's down pat, you can write an email, bang, bang. It can be done within a minute or 2, and then you can do the tweaks and you're off. So that's where it's really changed the game for the business owners that jump onto this early. That's where it's really changed the game, because now you don't have to pay a copywriter $500 or hundreds of dollars for an email. You can do it. You can get in there and do it yourself, because if you've got a list, like I deal with some clients, they've got lists of 5, 10, 15, 20, 100,000 people sometimes.
Yeah.
If you've got that sort of list, it makes sense to hire a writer. Do you know what I mean? Because you've got the leverage there. But if you've got a list of 150, 200, 300, 400, 500 people, you don't really want to be paying a writer $500 an email whenever you get it down. But if you can do it yourself and you can knock that out in 10, 15 minutes really quickly, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? What for a vehicle that Litmus has found gets a 36-to-1 ROI, no advertising cost, no additional cost. Like why wouldn't you do it? It's crazy not to.
Absolutely. Great example. Great examples there. I love it. Listen, for those people listening in, think, well, how do I get hold of Scott? I love what he says. It makes a lot of sense. I'm not doing this effectively, and I'm realizing I'm probably missing thousands and thousands of dollars or euros or pounds. So how do they get hold of you? What's the best way?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to simpleemailroi.com, and that'll if you go to that page, there'll be places where you can book a call in with me and just book a time into my calendar. But what I would suggest you do even before that is go to simpleemailroi.com/AI. And that's simple emails. There's two E's there in the middle, but /AI. And if you go there, what you're actually going to get is you're going to get some cheat sheets, which will show you exactly how to do it. So you'll see basically if you go there, you'll get basically 3 prompts which allow you to whip up emails in minutes, even if you're a non-writer. And that's based on dozens of hours of testing, research, development, includes 5 jack-in-the-box opening prompts designed to grab your reader's attention, 5 solution prompts, which get to the heart of what you're trying to say, and 3 powerful commands to write compelling subject lines that boost open rates. So that's simpleemailroi.com/AI. And yeah, you can pick up those cheat sheets.
So simpleemailroi.com/AI. That's the first part, yeah?
Yes. That's the email address to go to, or the web to go to. Yeah.
Fantastic. So here people can learn how to use AI, and they can start generating copy for their email effectively using that power, which is fantastic. Now, I'm coming back to you in a minute, Scott, before we start wrapping up. You're listening to the Business Success Show with myself, with myself, Mac Attram, and Scott Bywater. I nearly said it the other way around there. And if you like what we are saying, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow, share this with your friends as well, and make some comments here so we can see what you enjoyed about it, what questions you have. That'll be really, really great. So thank you. So Scott, any last words you want to say about marketing from an email perspective, AI perspective, for those sitting there thinking, I really need to know this. Are there 5 steps I can follow? Are there 3 steps I can just do A, B, and C, and that gets me going? So what last words would you say before we wrap up?
I think the real key thing with email is to get started and to make a commitment that you're going to send out a certain number of emails over a certain time period. So give yourself like a 30-day challenge. Okay, for the next 30 days, every weekday, I am going to send out an email to my list. Or if it's not, you might not want to send daily. So you might go, okay, for the next 26 weeks, I'm going to send an email a week out to my email list. So first, make that commitment. The second thing I would do is I would send an email out to your list and ask them 2 questions. Ask them, what are the biggest challenges they have? So if you're let's say a wealth coach, as an example, what are your biggest challenges with creating wealth? And then the other question I would ask is, if you could ask me any 2 questions about creating wealth, what would they be? So ask those 2 questions, get the feedback. That'll also guide you on exactly what to write about, and then just answer. Like if you get 20 people to respond to that, you're going to have 40 questions, right? Well, there's 40 weeks of content where you just answer that question. Hi Mac, the other day I got asked this question. How do you build wealth if you're in your 20s? Well, that's a great question. And then you just go on and answer it as if you were talking, right? You just go on and answer that question, and away you go. So that's really how simple it is with email. The asset's already there. It's like not touching it is like having, it's like having a bar of gold, right? Like I bought some gold like a year or 2 ago, and it was like 18 grand or something, and I held it in my hand, and it's like smaller than the palm of my hand. I'm like, wow. And so, but it's like having, like a big bar of gold in your backyard, because email can literally be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to you, far more than that bar. But in your backyard, having this bar of gold and never looking at it, never digging it up. So that's what you're missing out on if you want a bit of motivation to do it. If you had a bar of gold in your backyard, which you could dig up, would you just let it sit there, or would you sell your house and the next person gets it, or are you going to go and dig it up? So that is my challenge for everyone, and it's just a matter of make that commitment, and if you make that commitment, you'll do it.
Awesome. You've been listening to the Business Success Show with Scott Bywater and Mac Attram, and get out there, start digging. If you're not already digging for the gold in your email, start using it, and catch up with Scott as well. Go to the link. We'll put a link in the footnotes as well, the show, so you'll pick it up from there. Scott, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing all these golden nuggets with us.
Yeah, no, you're welcome, Mac. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.